Hey, crew. Welcome back to another episode of the Skippy Report. On this episode, I sit down with my friend Cam Evanoff. He lives just west of Toronto, I think somewhere in Mississauga, Oakville area, Milton. And he shares his stories of him getting into skiing, progressing into racing as a young person, coaching, and being part of the World Cup volunteer crew that sets up the race courses when they're operating here in Canada, and shares his Telemark skiing stories and how he's getting his children into Telemark skiing. So grab yourself a beverage, get in a comfy chair, put your feet up, and enjoy this episode of the Skippy Report.
Hey, buddy.
Cam Evanoff. How are you, man?
Not bad.
Cool. Welcome to the Skippy Report.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, so it's as all the young people say, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I don't even know when the last time was we skied together.
I don't know. It's probably been
A couple of minutes.
yeah, definitely. Too long for
Yeah, I know. And part of the problem is I'm never home. Especially in ski season. I have a cottage. I spend more time at it in the wintertime than I do in the nice weather.
Yeah, which is I don't know, as you should.
Yes. So, how are things in Oakville? I was kind of hoping that I'd be able to we do this in person. I'd drag my gear to your place, but I just don't have enough time right now.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to do that in the off season. I have to stack up the episodes.
Yeah, no, we've had a great start to the season in Milton. It's been pretty incredible. It's probably the best start in over 10 years, and so much snow. I was I don't know, they opened when I was up at Tremblant for World Cup, and
That was in December.
Yeah, the first week of December, yeah, which
is
pretty
unusual.
incredible. Yeah, it's I don't know, for a bunch of years we'd always run a pre-Christmas camp, and
Right.
I would say over the last 10 years we kind of stopped even programming that for our race program, just because more times than not we'd be canceling or shifting or trying to move stuff around to make it
Right.
work, and it just wasn't really feasible. So yeah, no, they got open, and we were, I think, fully open, all three chairs, middle of December, which is, I don't know, the last few years we've been struggling to be fully open by the middle of January. So it's been awesome.
That's great. Yeah, I know everybody here, anyways, in the central to Midwest to the east, have had a banner year.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
it's been
friends of mine in Salt Lake City. They got a drought going on, man. I saw my friend Travis posting pictures at Vail, and you could see brown grass or brown ground and little shrubs sticking up that I'm gonna hypothesize are normally covered with snow.
Yeah. It's one of my best friends lives in Vancouver now and skis mostly up at Whistler, and they're doing better now, but it's definitely not been the typical sort of January sort of season for them. And I don't know, I've got other friends sort of in Calgary and Canmore, and it's just been going off there in Lake Louise and Sunshine, and there's so much snow there.
Yeah, that's like at the cottage. In the span of 2 weeks that we were there, it snowed almost every single day, just like when I remember as a kid. You know, we didn't get these wallops like we got the other day and the one that's coming in. And Sean and I made this traverse across a couple of trails to this other one trail to get down, and I think in the span of about 4 days, the height of the trail we were heading to was 3 feet higher than what we had been to. It was like nuts.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So tell the people who you are.
So I'm
he is famous. He is famous because you have been on CBC Sports or some of the sports channels.
I have been. So I'm often referred to as Cam Evanoff or Coach Cam. Longtime sort of ski racer, coach now. but got looped into volunteering for World Cup ski races, sort of late 2000s, a bunch of years out at Lake Louise. Really loved being out there and spending time with the Sled Dog volunteers, and then did the 2010 Olympics up at Whistler for the men's Alpine events, and pretty much all of the World Cup ski cross events that have been Blue Mountain and Craigleith here in Ontario, and now the 2 years that we've been able to do the Tremblant women's GS tech events, which have been super fun, and just an awesome crowd and huge support there. People coming out to support the racing, which is amazing to see.
Now, which run do they run that race on?
So they run it right down Flying Mile. So basically from the top of the Flying Mile chair is where they sort of build the start, and it goes right down, basically right into the village there.
Wow.
Which is awesome. And it just, the bottom gets packed with people, and it's sort of a much more sort of European crowd vibe and people cheering, and it's really something.
Well, it's held in a province where, there's still a big European influence.
Yeah, it's really kind of neat too, because often early December, a lot of our sort of Ontario clubs are doing early season camps at Tremblant, and so a lot of them have sort of tagged into that too, where they sort of a lot of the families will go to watch the races, and then the camps either start on the Monday or Tuesday, sort of following the racing, which is kind of really neat.
Very cool. And there is a theme here because you are a Telemark skier.
Yeah.
Now, let's get into, like I always ask people, how'd you get into skiing? Where'd you get into skiing?
So I got into skiing before I was even born. So my parents were both ski patrollers who didn't originally patrol together, but actually met at a ski patrol awards sort of social event.
Oh, cool.
And that really sort of kicked off their sort of 50 years of marriage, and many winters spent skiing. And so when I was really young, we spent quite a bit of time sort of in the Hockley Valley area.
Oh, cool.
Sort of around Orangeville. At one time, there was a bunch of different ski hills in that valley, and my parents had patrolled at Valley Shush and some of the others. And then I think my first day ever on skis myself was actually at Mansfield.
Okay.
And so that was kind of my sort of start.
Do you have an age?
I think I was probably sort of 4 or 5.
Okay.
There's actually a picture on my, I guess it's my profile picture on socials right now that's from that day, and it's actually sort of me skiing down between my dad's legs.
Okay.
Sort of found that picture when we were digging through some stuff last fall. So really kind of special memory. And sort of from there, some of my parents' friends were skiing down at Hollymount in Ellicottville.
Yes.
And we spent a lot of years sort of going down, and sort of every other weekend, at least sort of 2 or 3 weekends a month through the winter season down there, and absolutely loved it. And sort of when I was probably just starting high school, sort of a couple of things were sort of coming together, and we were kind of looking for somewhere that was a little bit closer to home and somewhere where I could do some more racing locally. And
right.
We had sort of occasionally done some skiing at Glen Eden just because it's pretty close to us here in Mississauga. And
for the listeners who don't know, who aren't in the Toronto area, that's skiing off the Niagara Escarpment.
Yeah. So,
which is pretty cool.
Funny because often a lot of the big Collingwood private clubs always refer to them as being the escarpment clubs, and Glen Eden or our little club at Milton there is very much on the escarpment as well. So
that's right.
It's our own little piece of the rock. But so started sort of skiing there with the club sort of mid-90s, and transitioned into coaching I think I did my level 1 coach course in 99 and sort of got into coaching pretty much right away and been sort of coaching and skiing ever since. So
Right on.
yeah.
Right on. So, did your racing take you anywhere? Did you get to travel places? I always ask people, where have you been skiing?
So I've been sort of all over the sort of the East Coast. Kind of always had wanted to do some of the bigger races and stuff, and just never really had the right sort of time and opportunity.
Right.
Since then, coaching, I've been able to travel a fair bit with some of the groups that I've coached with over the years. But yeah, I've sort of had wonderful opportunities to sort of, I'd say pretty much most of New York State. We skied at one time or another, into sort of Vermont, New Hampshire, obviously up into Quebec, pretty much anywhere and everywhere in Ontario. And then quite blessed to have a bunch of friends that I've sort of grown up skiing with that have gone on to sort of different spots out west. And so for a bunch of years, sort of made that my sort of pilgrimage to go visit people and
Right.
crash on couches. And so basically everywhere from like Banff, Lake Louise, through the interior, Big White, and then out to the coast.
Right on. So, there's a few things I want to ask you. So you said you had got roped into the Sled Dogs?
Yeah, so the Sled Dogs is sort of what was the term for the volunteer group that sort of came together to support the racing at Lake Louise, but also then had supported the ski racing events at the 88 games in Nakiska.
So how did you get roped into it? Like, did you have a friend who was involved, or?
So I'd known some people that had gone out to volunteer, and everybody had always said it's such an amazing opportunity, and if you ever have a chance, you got to do it. And of course, trying to find some time to carve out.
Yeah, because you work for the city of Oakville, yes, right, or so Mississauga.
I work in recreation, and
and you have a family.
And I have a family now, but when I first started going out, my eldest was pretty young, and it was kind of, I sort of it was around 2007, summer 2007, had decided to sort of take a bit of a step back from coaching, and really wanted to sort of do some other things, and sort of just do some travel and things that sort of is hard to do in season when you're committed to coaching.
Right.
And so one of the big ticket things was to get out to Lake Louise at the beginning of December. And so that first year, I think I did 2 weeks. So there was always a build week sort of at the end of November, which is basically a full week of safety system installations, netting, basically all the prep.
Right.
And then the actual race week is typically sort of final prep, the training runs, and then the races on the weekend. So that first year I'd gone out to do those 2 weeks and just immediately sort of knew that was the thing that really sort of fired me up. And when you spend that kind of time hiking and walking and pounding up and down a big mountain in your ski boots, all of a sudden now you come back to winter here in Ontario feeling pretty invincible because you've probably just done a few thousand vertical a day. And it was really sort of a great sort of entry point to doing that. And just, I would say that the group of volunteers was so incredibly welcoming, and a lot of people from across Canada, a bunch of Americans would come up and help. A bunch of Europeans would always come over and would help with those races. So just a really cool sort of group of people that sort of over the years have sort of referred to as my Sled Dog family, because a lot of really strong friendships sort of from there. And
that's very cool. I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the general public, when you're watching any type of event like that, because my uncle's wife, she was big into Curling Canada, and she was primarily a volunteer, like on an executive, and
Yep.
like, all the support staff when you're like, say, I think it's the Tournament of Hearts, they seem to
Yep.
hold a lot in Thunder Bay, and there's a ton of volunteers from Thunder Bay
Yep.
that are at the rinks and the ice pads helping out. Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah,
the amount of volunteers.
I got to do a plug for my friends in Mississauga then this week, because we're actually hosting the Scotties Tournament of Hearts here in Mississauga.
Oh, right on.
Today's the first day, and it's going to run for the next 10 days. So some pretty amazing women curlers here in town for the next little bit. So
Well,
hoping to get out to see a couple of those draws over the next little bit. But yeah, no, it should be good.
Right. Very cool. So the next thing was getting into telemark skiing. Now, I have an idea, but I'll listen to your story and see how it compares to mine.
Yeah, so obviously sort of at Milton, we've got a pretty notorious telemark guy who'd been kicking around for a while, and I'd actually coached his daughter for a bit. So David Kilbourn is probably one of the guys that sort of really sort of would see him ski quite a bit, and he'd ski with our adult group on Tuesday nights. Of course, on his tele gear, racing GS courses and stuff, and kind of always thought, man, that looks so cool. I gotta find a time to try and figure this out. And I had sort of I'm not sure if I'm going to get the dates right, but early 2000s, I'd taken a educational leave from work to go back to school. And so I did recreation facility management at Seneca College. And while there, worked a fair bit at we had an outdoor center that we do like high ropes and leadership type stuff in the warmer weather. In the winter season, we actually had some track set cross country trails. And so a couple of the guys there were very proficient cross country, but had also been involved a bit with telemark over the years. And so that was really kind of my first taste of telemark, and sort of just screwing around on some old gear, sort of on the front lawn of what had been the Eaton estate at one time. And just really sort of fun, and really sort of lit the flame for me a little bit. And I would say just for the next little bit, again, just time never seemed to align quite right. But I think it was 2008, maybe 2009. I'd been out to Whistler in January visiting some friends. And they'd had a pretty awful start to the season. And so all the high alpine wasn't open. And it was basically just some groomers sort of from the roundhouse down. And so as an Ontario kid with race skis, that's still pretty fun. But I think it was either like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I'd seen a sort of advertising poster that the snow school there was running a like try telemark thing. And so I talked to one of my buddies, and he said, oh yeah, I know one of the guys in one of the shops in the village. They've got some rental gear. He'll hook you up. And so I got a pair of Scarpa T2s, the old red ones, and some Rossi Dirty Birds with some cable bindings, and got on the Creekside gondola, went up and met my intro to tele group, and never really looked back. So that was really my falling all over the place kind of day, and really kind of was like, no, this is so much more of a challenge, and way more fun, and just something that I've continued to work on ever since.
So when you said you're falling all over day, so you were skiing like your race kids that we would take our fleet to for them to
Yeah,
to
no,
try
definitely. It
Tele?
was definitely that Bambi on ice type of situation, and I don't know. I think being a fairly strong alpine skier and coach for a bunch of years, I definitely over the years have cheated a fair bit on my telemark technique, and it's something that I continue to work on to try and be a little bit freer and a little bit smoother, and really just kind of continue to focus on my balance. And when it's on and when it's happening, it feels amazing. And then there's other times where it's just I'm grinding out turns, but I know that, and it's that sort of fun ongoing challenge that definitely keeps me going back for more.
I know when you said grinding out turns, that was Sean and I last Wednesday when you guys got slammed with a snowstorm. We got like the wings of it because it primarily went up the St. Lawrence Valley, and we're in the mountains to the south, and we got a fair amount of warm, wet, rainy snow, something like the West Coast would get.
Yeah.
And the first little chair I got off that we usually ride right out of the parking lot to go over to the main chair at Owl's Head, there was something wrong with my skis. I was like, shit, my skis railed or what? Like, what have I done? Like, one was gliding, one wasn't. The edge, I was like, anyway, so we went all the way up to the top, came down Lily's Leap, and we were going over to the lakeside. And there was a point at the top of the mountain, at the upper third of the mountain. It was great. You get down to the lower 2/3. Oh, and I think we did a total of 4 runs. And I told Sean, I said, this is dangerous, man. It's like skiing on sandpaper and not having heels attached. I was like, yeah, no, we're not going. We're going home. Yeah. So we were done by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that is not the story that I thought. I thought Holly, with you being up at like the private clubs or something like that, Holly might have got her talons into you first. So that's.
Yeah, no, I definitely seen Holly and Steve around with the ski Telemark truck. They would occasionally come to Glen Eden back in the day too, and do their thing. But again, the timing just never really lined up with coaching, and for a bunch of years I was pretty it was funny because I would try to pick up as much overtime and shifts and things that I could cover for people in the summer, so that in the wintertime I could get my favors back and take off as much time as I could to spend skiing. And a lot of that was tied to coaching and working with different groups. And
right now, because of your background, and whenever I find out, because I'm really not an alpine skier, listeners will know that I'm more of a Nordic skier. And I'm often wondering, just because of my nerdy geek phys ed biomechanical mind, excuse me, do you guys alpine skiers, like when you said you get hooked up and like stuff is on, do alpine skiers get that same sensation?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, when it's I would say that one of the biggest sort of rewarding experiences that I've had as a coach over the years is, especially I've primarily worked with sort of kids sort of 13 to 18 for the most part.
Right.
And when they really kind of figure out body position and really pressuring the turn and how to build that and get that release out of the ski, and realize that it's really kind of like almost having a bit of a shotgun effect, that it's really kind of opens up doors for them, and it's a whole new toolbox, right? And so trying to unlock that has been a huge piece for a bunch of kids. And I would say that over the last, I don't know, 10 plus years, it's been really interesting because like all the kids coming up now have only ever known carving skis or parabolic skis, right? They've never really known straight skis and sort of the techniques and stuff that went into to try to do the same things. And So a lot of the kids are really good at tipping the ski on edge early, getting the pressure onto the edge, but trying to have some creative variation with that can be challenging because they're very much locked into a single position. And so trying to build that dynamic into their skiing is really something that we strive for. And especially coming from a small hill and small club, we do a lot of slalom training and a lot of sort of short-term focus type training. And I think that's where we see often our biggest successes with some of the kids.
Very cool. Now, in your own skiing,
yep,
the feeling that you're like from cable bindings, because you're on NTN now, and there are some people out there that just beat the dead horse. And I'm like, I have leather boots and straight skis. I've got cable bindings. I have NTN, and it's like my carpentry tools.
Yeah.
There's, and I'll put on the leather boots and straight skis and go out field skiing and ski the little hills and whatever in the woods, bushwhack like Tony Fitzsimons does, and so what was the transition like for you from cable to NTN? Because you've been on NTN longer than I have.
Yeah, I've been on NTN now. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a while.
I don't even remember you meeting you and you not being on NTN.
I was probably on, I think probably the first. So when I first started really getting into Telemark, was still run, like the TSO group was running the tele races.
Yeah.
I think that first winter I did some of the tele races. I was probably, I think at that point I had a pair of Vocal like T-Rocks with G3 cable bindings, and I was probably still on the Scarpa like T2 green boot at that point.
Right.
And that was kind of my setup for a bit. And I'd actually done a trip down to Portillo, Chile, with a bunch of friends and all race coaches, and we were going down to celebrate my friend's birthday, and just had an epic trip. And they gave me such a hard time that my only gear I took with me was my tele gear and none of my Alpine gear. I'm like, no, I want to do this, and we're gonna go play in the mountains, and this is what I'm bringing. And so yeah, that was pretty fun. But yeah, I know I'd hopped on NTN pretty early on, and it was just for me it seemed like such a natural progression. The lateral stability was such a huge marked improvement for me, and it just sort of, I would say, elevated my carve ability so much. And I think that just sort of going back to my point where I said sort of being able to cheat a bit, it also kind of opened up that sort of window that sort of over the years I've been playing around more and more with, because I had a lot of that stability and strength that I would in my Alpine gear, but then trying to figure out how to really sort of bend the boot and get down and build some separation in my feet and really drive that outside ski is something that just sort of has continued to sort of, that's what's really sort of fueled me to keep picking away at it a bit.
Very cool. So how did your trip turn out in Portillo?
I loved it. It's yeah, if you ever get a chance, I would say it's a bucket list trip. I've been able to ski some other places down there, but it's such just, it's literally like you turn back the clock and all of a sudden you're in the 50s and what I would imagine a European hotel would be like. And it's a fancy breakfast in the ballroom,
right?
A fancy lunch, afternoon high tea, and some of the most incredible dinners that you'd ever eat in your life. And it's all completely surrounded by the Andes and just super amazing.
So how did you keep up with your friends, your Alpine friends, on your tele gear?
So some of them I did, some of them I didn't. But we had an amazing week, and
that's awesome.
We we drank more than our fair share of pisco sours, and yeah, no, it's definitely a bucket list trip for sure.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is I can't remember the foundation that you always ski for, Sarah?
Ski for Erica.
Erica. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit
So,
about Ski for Erica.
so Erica Lamb was a young ski racer with us at Milton Heights, and it's just over 10 years now. So in March of 2015, we were at a Super G race at Blue Mountain at the Toronto Ski Club.
Right.
And so that time it was basically set up as a what would be now a U16 type race.
Yeah.
And a training day on the Monday, and then the race day on the Tuesday, sort of. And for a bunch of years, it'd been a real highlight of the season, especially for a bunch of the kids, being able to get on some bigger skis and go fast is always kind of a really neat experience. And the Monday we'd had an amazing training day, a bunch of really good runs, some really focused stuff that we'd been working on through the winter and sort of lead up to doing this race. And the Tuesday race day, the morning was good. It was warming up through the day, sort of typical sort of early spring type conditions with a bit of sunshine, and was warming up. And I still, I can remember being down in the lodge sort of with all the kids, sort of making sure that they were having their lunch and getting organized, and getting ready for the afternoon. And I'd gone back out to the track just to sort of track where conditions were at and what was happening. And we kind of were sort of set up sort of coach's corner, if you will. Not really a corner, but just kind of a spot where we hung out on the hill. And kids had come out from lunch. They'd sort of done some warm-up runs. And Erica and one of the other girls on the team had decided that there was still a bit of time, and so they were going to go down sort of the run beside where the race was being held to the bottom to use the washroom before the afternoon really got started. And unfortunately, we're still not entirely sure what happened, but Erica had gone off the side of the trail and collided with a tree.
Oh, geez.
Pretty catastrophic injury. I'd sort of gotten over to where it was pretty quickly, and knew it was pretty bad pretty immediately. She was very thankfully, patrol was there very quickly. Amazing care for her. Got her off the hill to the hospital in Collingwood, and then she was airlifted to Sunnybrook Hospital. But yeah, it's
yeah, I didn't realize that she was on your skied for Milton.
Yeah, she was amazing, young skier, amazing equestrian. She was really very, very well respected within the equestrian community. Just one of those crazy things that I would say over the years as a coach, sort of, obviously we do quite a bit of sort of emergency action planning and what to do. But it's kind of something that you never really think it'll happen to you or your group. And it did. And it's definitely something that I think about and carry with me. But she was just such an incredible spirit and bright light.
Right.
And I would say one of the huge things for me, especially continuing on with skiing and coaching, has just been the support and really the the caring showed by the Lamb family towards us and what we're doing. And
Right.
um, it's it's a crazy situation. And um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that still really try hard to sort of keep her memory alive, especially with the kids that are coming up with
Right.
Milton Heights.
Yeah.
And last spring was the 10-year anniversary of her passing, and it's again, a lot of the kids now that are sort of 14, 15, 16 weren't even in the program
Yes.
back then. And so continuing to share those stories. And we've caught sort of a plaque and picture in our clubhouse. And then one of the things that we sort of did following her passing was we rededicated our club champion trophy as the Erica Lamb Memorial Club Champion Trophy. So it's something that we try to keep people sort of thinking about and aware of. And especially hard sort of coming from a small club, small family.
Right.
It was it's kind of always a little bit poignant too. Nick Zorchik, who was on the Canadian national team for ski cross, his death was almost a year to the day prior.
Oh, wow.
He was on a World Cup ski cross track and had a tragic accident.
Yeah.
And so he was very much connected with the Craigley Ski Club, where I've got a bunch of friends. And just sort of eerily similar,
Right.
almost a year to the date.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I always I tell myself I have to be really careful. I told Sean after she had her bad ski crash, because I always tell people Sean almost died twice on me. And but I guess she's got a resilient body. And the second time was a ski crash. I am positive her goggles saved her life more than her helmet. Her helmet saved her, but she had such a terrible concussion. Her face, she looked like she'd been beat up by Mike Tyson. And I said to her, I said, and because I'm always doing all sorts of stuff, the more you do it, you're increasing that chance of a catastrophe happening. And I'm always like, okay, got to take it easy. Don't get caught up in the moment. And, shit happens and things go sideways, and always have to have contingency plans. And because I remember my skis I was on straight skis with leather boots one day at Brimacombe, and I went to make a turn and nothing turned. So and I've learned, don't fight it. So I'm heading for the woods and I'm like, oh shit. And there's an opening, and I'm heading for the opening, and before I can even really think it, I'm in the air in the woods, and I'm thinking, is there enough room for me to land here? And I landed upright, and then scrambled back out onto the trail, and my friends were like, "Do you mean to do that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, man." It was like, it was nuts.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's one of those things, sort of, you do something long enough. I don't know.
I've fallen enough. I've learned.
Yeah.
And I wish in phys ed in Ontario they had kept gymnastics, because I think learning me at my large body to tumble and roll, which is not graceful, has actually saved me when I'm skiing.
No, for sure.
I know, like, there have been times where I'm in the air and I'm like, oh shit, and I just cross my hands in front of my chest and I tuck my chin and try to get to the back of my shoulders,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's And so you've had lots of, teaching, coaching young kids, and your two young ones are in the race program at Milton. And are they both Telemark skiers?
They were both on Telemark gear last year. Yeah. So they,
and how are they liking it?
They've kind of got bit by the bug a little bit.
No way.
They love it.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They, my biggest challenge right now is just trying to get, sized appropriate gear for them is just such a hard thing.
What size do you need?
I'll send you an email.
Okay. Because when we sold off the fleet, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have grandchildren. So I set aside for myself and bought them some, of the smallest boots. Everybody.
So I think I got a pair of like 19 and a half or 20 boots that Mackenzie skied a bit in. And then that's what Declan was in last year.
Right.
But yeah, just trying to track down, of course, I think I've heard you use the term gear desert before, but that's really kind of definitely a challenge, especially for trying to find some little kid stuff or not so little kid stuff that isn't going to cost a gazillion dollars.
Yeah, and you know what? Like everybody slams that G3 Targa, but I don't care. Yeah. I got some gold. I got 2 brand new sets of bindings and boxes. They tucked them away when we started, ending the fleet. I reached out to G3 and I said, "Hey, can I buy a couple more pairs of bindings?" Because,
I think I've still got 3 pairs of skis with the G3s on them out in the garage, and
they're the best binding for kids, other than 3 pins.
Yeah, 2 of those like back country sort of repair kits that had the spare heel throw and cable and stuff that I bought those off of Mech when they were clearing them out, and I don't know.
That's what you got to do when you find those clearance deals and that sort of stuff. So
yes. Yeah, no, the kids are they love it. Again, it's that whole idea of it's a whole new challenge, a whole new sort of.
And how old are they, just so that the listeners can?
So Declan is 8 and Mackenzie's 12 currently. So last winter they would have been 7 and 11.
Right.
And just I think Mackenzie the first time she was on the Telemark skis. So I got again those super small boots I got from a guy in Colorado. It ended up costing me way more in shipping and duty by the time I got them up here than what I paid him for the boots. But those boots, and then an old pair of I don't even know what they are, Rosignol kid. I think they might be an old pair of Rossi Fun Girl skis with like the Roddy Super Telemark 3-pin hose on them, just for having some fun. And it's I think it's such an incredible thing to get kids, especially on Telemark and ideally some Nordic cross country gear as well. It's I don't know, when I was a kid, my dad had always kind of really enjoyed cross country skiing. He wasn't a great cross country skier, but just getting out, and I think the winters were obviously a little bit different, and we'd often just go to one of the municipal golf courses near us here and sort of go out for 2-3 hours sort of around the golf course perimeter and up and down a couple of times. And that was a pretty full, fun day. And so my dad had always kind of scraped together some old cross-country gear for me when I was growing up in different sizes. And my kids have been up to Hardwood, and they've got a great sort of rental fleet there where you can get out on some gear fairly inexpensively. And it's just an incredible opportunity to sort of be out and sliding around. And the one thing that my kids have always sort of commented on when we've been out is it's so much quieter. There's no, there's none of the noise that you even get like at the ski hill. Right. And
especially in the east, right? You hear the skiers. That I remarked to Sean, with all the fresh snow almost every day at Owl's Head, skiing is nice and quiet. It's not that that you do out here in the east.
No, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So plans for this year? Just coaching, racing?
Yeah, so I'm coaching. I'm the lead coach for our U14 program, which Mackenzie's actually in this year. So nice. My daughter, which is kind of a whole new experience for me. I kind of had Tried to stay away from coaching my own kids for a bit, and
I never coached my own kids.
yeah, but it's been really great.
That's
I
good.
kind of helped out with her group a little bit last year, and yeah, it's been amazing to work with her and really see her progression. And then Declan's in our U10 group, and yeah, so we're hosting a U14 race at Milton this weekend, and then we're up to the Heights of Horseshoe next weekend.
I hope it's not on Sunday.
It is on Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah, slalom race in a snowstorm. Of course, it's going to happen.
I remember going to a race at Caledon, and we had to scrape 8 inches of powder off the race course. Yeah.
Well, a bunch of the kids last Thursday, when we had that big snowstorm here,
right,
had gone up to Caledon. Alpine, Ontario was hosting their Skills Up camp.
Oh, yes.
They do a bunch of Skills Up camps to focus on different things. And last Thursday was the slalom camp at Caledon. And needless to say, there wasn't much slalom skiing to be done, but a lot of playing around in the powder and just having a real great day. But
that's awesome. Very cool. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much for taking a bit of time and talking with me and letting me learn a little more about one of my friends. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, I want you to have a great season and be safe in all the travels that you're doing. And thanks again, man.
You too. Thanks, Keith.
Well, there you have it, gang. Another episode of the Skippy Report. Huge thanks to Cam Evanoff for sitting down and sharing all of his stories. There are a couple there that I really wanted to learn about, and hopefully you did, because that sled dog stuff that he does in the World Cup is pretty cool. And his journey into telemark skiing, I would never have believed there was Dave Kilbourn, but Dave's crazy enough to get everybody on Tele-skis. So thanks again for choosing to listen to good old Skippy here, and stay tuned for another episode in a couple of weeks. Peace out.